Part 74. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 731. Sizzle. Blood suddenly spurted out like a high-pressure water gun. Good boy. Your blood pressure is higher than mine. Just right, come on. The old man picked up an ancient scroll and opened the page. In an instant, Lu Yu's blood sprayed on it. Lines of small golden characters began to emerge. The way to break the deadlock. Lu Yu was surprised. He fell into deep thought when he saw hundreds of ancient scrolls on more than a dozen rows of bookshelves. There are so many, I'm afraid my blood won't be enough. You're overthinking this, kid. Most of these should be really wordless, and only a very small part of them really record something. The old man picked up another ancient scroll. Lu Yu's eyelids jumped when he heard this. Does it mean that I have to try one by one? That's the truth. It's okay. Young people have strong blood and energy. What's there to be afraid of? The old man happily turned the ancient scroll. Seeing that the wound on Lu Yu's foot had healed, he cut it with a knife. In this situation, most of the day had passed. Looking at his pale face in the water mirror, Lu Yu said hoarsely. Are you done? Almost, hold on a little longer. Lu Yu. He used to be a once-a-night man. Now, this state may regress to 7 times. It's really hard for me. In a trance, Lu Yu didn't know how long it had been. He didn't react until the old man spoke. 300 volumes, only 3 of them have real stuff. The 6th heaven court's disguise is too good, the old man said. Lu Yu almost cried with joy. It's over. It's over. While the old man was speaking, he threw 3 blood-stained ancient volumes over. It's all here. Holding the still warm ancient volumes in his hands, Lu Yu's eyes were filled with tears. Finally, I've waited. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yu opened an ancient volume. Instantly, a piece of golden small words came into view. All the most glorious eras in the past will eventually pass away, and the universe will go to death. The first line of the opening made Lu Yu's eyelids jump. Why, it feels so familiar. Weird likes to say this the most? Lu Yu was surprised and doubtful. Then, he continued to look down. We know this truth very well, so we must stop all this, but the forces outside the domain are too powerful, even the emperor can't resist. The queen has died on the Great Wall and turned into the Great Wall. But even so, the Great Wall was still broken, everything seemed to be coming to an end. Outside the Great Wall is invincible, it is the power beyond the rules that dominates everything. Beyond the rules, only by transcending the rules can we compete with the outside of the Great Wall, but in the 6th heavenly court period, no one could do this. It is rumored that there is a forbidden area outside the extreme realm, but no one has ever set foot in the forbidden area, and those who dare to try will be wiped out. If there are people who can break the taboo in the future, maybe they can fight with those outside the Great Wall, maybe. The golden words end here. Lu Yu's eyes were a little confused. This, isn't it talking about me? Taboo field? This concept was proposed during the 6th heaven court period. Was it already tried at that time? But no one succeeded? It wasn't until the 9th heaven court period, 3 epochs later, that I succeeded? To be honest, Lu Yu was a little annoyed. This is definitely a way to break the situation, and it is a way to break the situation successfully. But the problem is, time waits for no one. If you give yourself 300 years, no, 30 years. Lu Yu is confident that he can beat the thing outside the Great Wall. All the resources of the universe are piled on himself, and he just needs to break through. Go back and complete the system achievement, the 15th realm double taboo field. If it is not done well, you can still take the 16th step. Beating that weird source, isn't it a joke? but the reality is that the other party didn't give himself any time at all. Weird is probably already attacking the Moon Goddess Great Wall. It will take at most 1 month for the Moon Goddess Great Wall to be broken. In 1 month, I am afraid that I will not even be able to ascend to a higher realm. This is really a bummer. Lu Yu sighed and put down the ancient scroll helplessly. Helpless, he could only say helpless. This is indeed a feasible way to break the deadlock, but in the past 3 eras, the only one who can achieve the Forbidden Realm is himself. And I don't have enough time. Shaking his head, Lu Yu was not too discouraged. Only the first way to break the deadlock is feasible, what about the latter? I haven't seen 2 of them yet. If there is also feasibility, at least one of the 3 can succeed, right? Slightly suppressing his excitement, Lu Yu opened the second volume. The moment the second volume was opened, small golden words appeared. When the gods pass away, when the sun is extinguished, the black fog will devour everything. The first sentence of the opening is still full of despair. Lu Yu didn't care about this, but continued to look down. Golden font flashed on it. We lost, and we lost in the end. The era of the Yuan Sheng clan has passed and has been replaced. The demons are too terrifying, and they come from unknown hands. They are extremely strange. Even the Holy Emperor cannot match them. We made many attempts, but all ended in failure. We found that there is another world outside this universe. The Holy Emperor tried to take us away, but the other worlds have long been destroyed. Weird is everywhere, unless we can find a world they cannot enter. This golden scroll ends here. Lu Yu's expression fell into contemplation. Is there another world outside the universe? Lu Yu knew this. Before, he had personally experienced a world during the transmission of the human emperor. But Lu Yu just regarded that experience as a dream, and the source of weirdness deliberately deceived him. But now it seems that things are not as simple as he imagined. Other worlds, do they really exist? According to the idea of the fifth heavenly court, is it to find a weird world that cannot be entered, and then migrate there? Lu Yu thought about it carefully and thought it was still unlikely. Weird is everywhere. If other worlds really exist, then what he saw in the void space before is likely to be true. Many other worlds have been destroyed. Even the Tianling continent that he went to was invaded by the weird. This is not feasible. Lu Yu sighed, and the old man came over. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 732. How's it going? Did you get anything good? Chapter 0553, The Real Way to Break the Situation, the so-called Old World. Have you gained anything? When Lu Yu heard this, he didn't know how to answer. To say that there are gains, it is indeed a little bit. After all, the previous method of breaking the situation in the sixth heaven is indeed feasible, but it is not applicable now. If you say there is no gain, then it is really no gain. Shaking his head, Lu Yu said nothing. The old man had a smile on his face. There's only one role left. With that said, the old man gave the last volume to Lu Yu. During the fourth court period. If Lu Yu guessed correctly, it should be like this. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yu opened the last volume. The first line of words that caught his eye made his eyes tighten slightly. Our subsequent era is irredeemable. The real salvation is hidden in the first heaven, where there is the ancient road to the previous universe. This scroll is very short, only one line of text. But just this line of words made Lu Yu's pupils shrink suddenly. In the first heaven, is there an ancient road to the previous universe? What is the way to the next universe? Quite easy to understand. The source of strangeness told Lu Yu at the beginning that it had destroyed the universe several times, demolished it and started over, built a new world, and even tempted Lu Yu to join him. Lu Yu was deeply impressed by this. But now, this ancient scroll actually tells me. In the first heaven, is there an ancient road to the previous universe? Heading to the old world. Yes, the old world. Compared to the universe where you are now is the new world. That universe has completely experienced everything that this universe of its own is about to experience. But, the real salvation is hidden in the old world. The old world, that world should have been destroyed, and no living beings existed. So why do you say that? The words in this ancient scroll made Lu Yu think a little. The other party only left this sentence, without any other relevant explanations or details. Only 2 points were mentioned. Salvation is in the old world. The entrance to the old world is in the first heaven. The specific location in the first heavenly court was never mentioned. The old man came over. What's wrong with you, kid? Old man, please take a look. Lu Yu handed the ancient scroll to the old man. The old man took it and started reading it quickly. With just one glance, the old man stood up. Let's go to the first heaven. Lu Yu. Old man, don't you think there is something wrong here? Lu Yu looked confused. Just one sentence, shouldn't we continue to figure it out? Just guess what, are you afraid there might be a problem there? The old man glanced at Lu Yu with contempt. Lu Yu. He admitted that he thought so. After all, there is no relevant information, so you really have to be cautious. The old man sneered. Are you so cowardly? You are so damn immortal. Old man, I am a consciousness and no one can die. You are afraid of a hammer. If you keep dilly-dallying, maybe the Great Wall will be broken by the time we go back. We're really anxious. By the way, you young people say you're anxious, what do you mean? The old man asked curiously. Lu Yu. The emperor is not in a hurry, but the eunuch is. Yes. You boy, the emperor is not in a hurry, but the eunuch is, the old man sneered. A smile appeared on Lu Yu's face. I feel the same way. It's true that the emperor is not in a hurry and the eunuch is. With that said, Lu Yu stood up. Shall we leave now? Okay, it's the best. What about the other lofts? Can't you, kid, come back and get it? The old man directly pulled Lu Yu away. Lu Yu couldn't help but speak out. Old man, let's take the teleportation array. Teleport you, there is no teleportation array in the sixth heaven. The teleportation array only came out during the seventh heaven. Lu Yu. The old man scolded him so much that he didn't know how to refute. Being even 1 year older is overwhelming, let alone being more than 10 years older than me. Feeling sad inside, Lu Yu and the old man came to the wall of the sixth Great Wall. Looking at the cracked sixth Great Wall, Lu Yu felt a little emotional. 3 epochs ago, was the queen of the sixth heaven transformed into the Great Wall here? Unfortunately it was still broken. At that moment, I am afraid that in the eyes of the creatures in the sixth heaven period. Weird and invincible. Although for now, during the ninth heaven, it is still invincible. Even as some truths are revealed, it becomes even more terrifying. For example, what kind of existence is in that coffin, feeding on the creatures of the world? What is the source of the strangeness? Everything is unknowable. Lu Yu shook his head, tore a crack in space, and hit the road. On the way, he didn't forget to ask the old man for advice. Old man, if it's the old world, then what's the point of our past? You kid ask me, who should I ask? The old man glanced at Lu Yu and said calmly. After a short pause, he spoke again. You said there is another strange source, claiming to be the creator, right? Yes, Lu Yu nodded. The old man also nodded. If he is the creator, then these worlds were created and destroyed by him. I don't think the reason for rebuilding a new world is because he thinks everyone is equal, but because he is afraid that if a world continues to develop, it will produce a force beyond his control. The old man glanced at Lu Yu. You are the best proof. In the forbidden area, Everyone who has tried to set foot in the past has been wiped out by an invisible force, except you. I'm afraid this is something that the weird source didn't expect. The old man's words made Lu Yu nod repeatedly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS level talents at the beginning. Author, Yun Zhonmu Shui. Chapter 733. That's the truth, but can we people in the new world really find anything when we go to the old world? I don't know about this old man. The ancient scrolls say that salvation is in the old world. Maybe it's really possible? Maybe that guy from the human emperor is there. At this point, the old man narrowed his eyes. Lu Yu was also stunned for a moment. It seems, you really can't rule out this possibility. Is it really possible for the human emperor to be in the old world? I don't know about this, but old man, I suddenly thought of something interesting. The old world has been destroyed, and the power of all rules should be gone. What do you think it would be like? The old man's eyes narrowed. When Lu Yu heard this, he also fell into deep thought. The old world has been destroyed, so all rules and order should no longer exist, and the universe is in a state of chaos. If you are in a state of chaos, create rules. 2. Lu Yu and the old man looked at each other, and finally the old man patted Lu Yu on the shoulder. Young people are pretty good and can keep up with my ideas. The old man patted Lu Yu on the shoulder with appreciation. Lu Yu. He looked at the old man, his expression gradually becoming serious. If the old world is really in a state of rulelessness and order, does it seem that it is really possible to create rules? Yes, judging from the deduction, there is a chance. The old man nodded. Lu Yu also looked thoughtful. He and the old man can now speak, think, move, and even practice. In essence, it is all because of the existence of rules and order. If you enter a world without rules and order, then with your own double taboo realm, wouldn't it be possible to create all the rules and order you want? Lu Yu's breathing became slightly faster. Chapter 0554, Kill Me, Mr. Lu, he turns out to be an orphan. Lu Yu's breathing was slightly rapid. If you say you're not excited, you'd be lying. If the old world is really in a state of chaos now, then you can create rules by yourself. Your own rules. If this is the case, you can directly create a rule that stops the flow of time and practice it in the old world for hundreds of years. After coming out, the outside world only passed for 1 second. It's weird to die, it's just around the corner. Salvation is in it. Lu Yu was excited, and so was the old man. If you can really create rules, Lu Yu, you must create the girl of my dreams. The old man looked at Lu Yu expectantly. Lu Yu. Actually, I feel that there is no need to create, Lu Yu said hesitantly. Hearing this, the old man looked a little confused. What do you mean? Well, artificial intelligence is quite advanced now. It can give you a doll for men to play with according to your imagination. A smile appeared on Lu Yu's face. The old man looked puzzled. Real? It has to be true. Good boy. Let's go back later. You have to pinch one for me. What's the name of that thing? Inflatable doll. Inflatable doll, right? Okay, just get one for me. I'll give it to you for how much it costs. With that said, the old man was about to pay. Lu Yu held his hand. No need, old man, it's just a matter of a finger, it's a matter of a finger. A bright smile appeared on Lu Yu's face. Especially when I think of an old man and a doll. The smile on his face became even more enthusiastic. This is what juniors should do, so I don't want to be rewarded by you. Yes, I appreciate you more and more now. The old man patted Lu Yu on the shoulder with a happy expression. Lu Yu. While he was talking and laughing with the old man, the third great wall arrived. Go down and take a look. The old man looked at Lu Yu. Lu Yu thought for a while and shook his head. It's better to hurry up and get on your way. As you wish, the old man said casually. Soon, the space was torn apart again. This time, the speed of space travel is faster. Lu Yu didn't know how much time had passed, but the second Great Wall was clearly visible in his eyes. Later, Lu Yu and the old man crossed over the second Great Wall and officially entered the boundary of the first Great Wall. Here, the black mist has become as thick as substance. Countless weird creatures were active below, and even weird giants. Lu Yu saw more than a few. They looked at Lu Yu and the old man, with anger in their eyes, and took action, but found nothing. Boy Lu, according to you, there is another strange source. It should know that we are approaching the first Great Wall by now, right? The old man suddenly spoke up. Lu Yu was stunned when he heard this and answered quickly. It should be. This is indeed true. The source of strangeness can control and rewrite all rules. In other words, as long as it is still in this universe, everything is under its nose, so it is naturally quite simple to find traces of the two of them. What made Lu Yu a little confused was, why did the old man ask this question? What's wrong? Lu Yu spoke up. Old man. There's an eye behind you. Lu Yu. He turned his head, and sure enough, a black eye appeared behind him at some point. What do you want to do? In the void, a sound suddenly came out. When Lu Yu heard this, a smile suddenly appeared on his face. Why do you ask? It's best not to get close to the first Great Wall. There was no emotion in his black eyes and he continued to speak. Lu Yu got up. Why do you worry if I can't get close to you? Is there something in the first heavenly court? Then I have to go and have a look. It seemed that Lu Yu became determined because of the words with black eyes. The black eyes were silent for a moment. Are you really not considering joining forces with me? The Great Wall of Luna can be breached in a month at most. How can you struggle in a month? Just stop farting, it's none of your business how I struggle. Lu Yu shouted back directly. Thinking of the possibility of the existence of the old world, Lu Yu was now simply full of confidence. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Shui. Chapter 734. As long as the old world is in a state of chaos, creates its own rules of time, retreats for hundreds of years and then emerges, who can be defeated? I will destroy you in minutes. The black eyes seemed to be silent, and they didn't make a sound for a long time. The old man stared into his black eyes with a thoughtful expression. Is this the source of the weirdness you said? Right. Lu Yu nodded. The conversation between the two attracted the attention of Black Eyes. This time, it set its sights on the old man. A smile immediately appeared on the old man's face. What's wrong? You can't kill Mr. Lu, you want to kill me. The old man is just a consciousness, you can kill him if you like. The old man looked quite magnanimous. He stretched out his neck, as if he was about to be killed. Black Eyes. Haven't you ever thought that I would attack your body directly? Black Eyes said coldly. When the old man heard this, he was happy. Ha! You really can't take action. Do you think I'm Mr. Lu, and you can just give me a few words to scare me away? If you can attack us directly, why would you go to such trouble? The old man sneered again and again. These words silenced the source of the strangeness. Well said. Although it controls the laws, it cannot directly attack the creatures within the Great Wall. To put it bluntly, it is still because of the Great Wall. But now outside the Great Wall, I can suppress your consciousness and make you torture forever, making you miserable. Black Eyes stared at the old man indifferently. When the old man heard this, he shrank his neck. It seems, that's what happened. Boy Lu, Give me a knife, quickly. The old man shouted quickly. Don't give this guy a chance. Lu Yu. Where has your faith gone, which was as indestructible as steel and willing to go through fire and water for the revolution? He complained in his heart, but Lu Yu still stabbed the old man. I have no choice but to take revenge. I don't think about it for a day or two. Why does it hurt so much when you hit me? Give me a break, the old man said, covering his stomach. Lu Yu. Decisively, he gave the old man a knife in the chest. The next moment, the old man's body began to turn into a shadow and float away. Good boy, I admire you very much, so I will go back first. Remember the inflatable doll you mentioned? The old man stroked his beard and smiled, and this consciousness completely dissipated. Now, only Lu Yu and the black eye were left. Very well, all the troublemakers are gone. Let's talk about what you want to do. Black Eyes stared at Lu Yu. Lu Yu immediately laughed and pointed to his head. You. No problem. What's the meaning? The Black Eyes were confused. Lu Yu burst out laughing. I'm so stupid to tell you my plan. Why don't you tell me in detail how your parents gave birth to you? Lu Yu's words made the Black Eyes stunned. Looking into his black eyes, Lu Yu was already preparing to take action like a storm. Just one sentence made him stunned. I don't have parents. It turns out he is an orphan. Chapter 0555 Give You Fatherly Love, the God of Patrol. It turned out to be an orphan. Lu Yu looked into his black eyes with sympathy. This is too tragic. I lost my parents at a young age, so no wonder my personality is so extreme now. It's not entirely his fault. Who said, I didn't have parents since I was a child? Hey, you haven't had your parents since you were a child. You must lack father's love. How about I be your father? Lu Yu blinked and looked into his black eyes seriously. The black eyes were stunned for a moment, and he quickly reacted. You insulted me. Boom. The surrounding space is collapsing, the void collapses, and countless black mist comes out. Faintly, a figure sitting on the throne roared at Lu Yu across endless time and space. In this regard, Lu Yu's expression was very calm. How have I insulted you? I just want to be your father and let you experience fatherly love. Damn it, call me daddy. As he spoke, Lu Yu punched the black eye. In an instant, the black eyes disintegrated. But soon, it was condensed again. It stared at Lu Yu indifferently. You will pay a price for doing this. I don't know if it's worth it, but you really lack father's love. Do you want to feel the warmth of father's love? Why don't you call me daddy? Lu Yu looked into his black eyes with a smile on his face. The other party doesn't care about me at all, and I don't panic about it at all. Anyway, we have already broken up with each other, who is afraid of whom? Hearing Lu Yu's words, the source of the strangeness was obviously even more furious. Around Lu Yu, there was a terrifying scene of the planet being destroyed and all races being stained with blood. But Lu Yu didn't even look at it. What you are doing is of no use to me. The Great Wall will be breached in a month at most. I don't care what tricks you are playing, the outcome is already determined. The black eyes stared indifferently again, then disappeared. At the same time, the surrounding scene also calmed down. Seeing this, Lu Yu snorted coldly. It's not certain who will die. After saying this, he sat down quietly. Just tease this guy and have some fun. Lu Yu still knew exactly what he wanted to do. What's ridiculous is that this guy actually came and asked what he wanted to do. If this is not a mental illness, then what is a mental illness? Lu Yu let out a long sigh and decided not to think about it anymore. Time passed, and Lu Yu didn't know how long it had passed, and his speed gradually slowed down. He looked at the Great Wall approaching in the distance, and his eyes were somewhat excited. The first Great Wall. After a while, Lu Yu approached. This was his first time to observe the first Great Wall up close. Last time, he just took a rough glance. And now, looking closely, Lu Yu knew how dilapidated the first Great Wall had become. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 735. As the first Great Wall built, the first Great Wall has the longest history. So far, it has existed for at least 9 eras. In 9 eras, the weirdness has almost transformed this place into a base camp. Countless fractures are all over the Great Wall. In some places, the wall has even disappeared. Seeing this scene, Lu Yu shook his head, and without thinking any more, he entered the Great Wall directly from the fracture. Entering the first Great Wall, Lu Yu saw many weird creatures. These weird creatures came to Lu Yu, but they were all ignored by Lu Yu. He didn't have time to entangle with these things now, and he couldn't kill them all. Finding the way to the old world is the top priority. What made Lu Yu a little headache was that the ancient scroll didn't mention how to find that ancient road at all. It just said that the first heaven had an ancient road leading to the old world. In other words, before finding that ancient road, he had to find the ancient road left by the first heaven. What made Lu Yu helpless was, he walked almost all over the first Great Wall, but didn't find any trace. He even suspected that it was the creatures from the first heavenly court period that destroyed the road to the heavenly court. Or maybe it was destroyed by the weird. After all, so many years have passed, and the entire first Great Wall has been occupied by the weird for who knows how long. It should have been discovered by now. Sighing, Lu Yu continued to look. There is no way, there is always hope if you look. If you don't look, there is no hope at all. But as he walked, Lu Yu suddenly stopped. In front of him, a corpse appeared. Corpse. Lu Yu was a little surprised. To be honest, he had been walking for so long, and this was the first time he saw a corpse. The reason was quite simple. Almost all the dead were from the first heavenly court period. After such a long time, unless there were some extremely powerful beings, the corpses would decay. But the corpse in front of him didn't. Interesting. Lu Yu squatted down, and just as he was about to check the corpse carefully, the corpse moved. A strange creature was hiding inside. After killing the strange creature, Lu Yu checked the corpse. How long ago was the corpse, Lu Yu could not tell. The only thing that was certain was that it should be a man. Lu Yu thought about it, gritted his teeth and undressed. Squinting his eyes, he found a blackened token on the chest of the corpse. This is... Lu Yu hesitated. Forget it, I'll study it later. Lu Yu shook his head and was about to help the corpse put on clothes, when he suddenly noticed a line of words on the ground. These words did not appear before, and only appeared after he moved the corpse. Written by the corpse before he died. Lu Yu immediately perked up and looked at the ground. But the moment he saw the handwriting, he took a breath of cold air. I am the patrol god, and I am ordered by Fuxi to go to the first Great Wall to find a way to enter the first heaven. I have lived up to the trust and found this token, but unfortunately I am exhausted and will die here. If the later ones have any gains, please pass it to Fuxi Human Emperor, Sunshin, and fulfill the mission. Looking at this line of words, Lu Yu was a little shocked. Fuxi Human Emperor? Someone from the 8th heaven? During the 8th heaven, did the Human Emperor send people to the first Great Wall to find a way to enter the first heaven? This. Could it be that they have the same purpose as me, wanting to enter the old world? Lu Yu was surprised by his own idea, but he was a little uncertain. Did the Human Emperor go in? The token is still there, which means no one is holding it. Where did the Human Emperor go? Lu Yu's eyes were a little doubtful. But in the end, he decided not to think about it anymore. Is this the way to enter the first heaven period? Holding the token in his hand, Lu Yu wiped off the blood stains on it. Suddenly, a touch of white appeared, crystal clear. After thinking for a while, Lu Yu tried to drip a few drops of blood on it. In an instant, the white token turned golden. The already dilapidated first great wall suddenly shook. A golden light descended from the sky, covering Lu Yu. Then, Lu Yu disappeared from the spot. After he disappeared, the entire first great wall was filled with black fog. In the distance, a creature trapped on the throne of bones whispered. "It's just a dying struggle." Chapter 0556 The First Heaven, the ruler of the old world. Boom. In the dim and lightless world, a brilliant golden light descended. In the collapsed building like a ruin, a figure slowly appeared. Is this the first heaven? Lu Yu looked at the many ruins around him and pondered. Compared with the sixth heaven, the first heaven has completely become a lost place. Although the sixth heaven is dead, at least the buildings are still preserved. But in the first heaven, all the buildings are almost in ruins, but even so, Lu Yu can still see the majestic atmosphere of the year. I wonder if there is a weird invasion here now. Lu Yu looked around and felt it carefully, but did not find the black fog. No. Lu Yu was not sure. After all, such a long time had passed, no one was sure whether the strangeness had found the entrance. It's better not to have one, otherwise if the entrance to the first heaven is found, it will be a bit troublesome. Even Lu Yu is not sure. Is the old world still under the control of the strange existence? It should be out of control in the deduction. After all, the world has been destroyed and is in a chaotic state. If there is no rule, then the old world is a land without an owner. Thinking in his heart, Lu Yu wandered in the ruins. The situation is still unclear. The ancient scroll does not give where the entrance to the old world is, so you can only find it by yourself. Walking and stopping all the way, Lu Yu was a little helpless. There were almost ruins all around, and he didn't know where to start. Walking and stopping like this, half an hour later, Lu Yu stopped. In front of him, there was a palace that looked relatively intact. The reason why it looked relatively intact was that half of the palace had collapsed, and the other part looked shaky. The erosion of the years made it full of various cracks. Stain, a gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 736. Lu Yu sighed, but still walked in. There is no way, even if it collapses when you walk in, you have to go in and take a look. This is the only building that is somewhat complete at present, and Lu Yu can only hope for this. Walking into the palace, Lu Yu saw falling rocks all over the ground. In addition, there are stone statues enshrined all over the palace. These stone statues look strange, and there is a big gap between them and the image of human race that Lu Yu knows. If I had to give a more accurate description, that's orcs. Lu Yu stood in front of a stone statue with the head and body of a human and a horse, lost in thought. Looking at the other stone statues, they are almost the same. There are traces of human race on his body, but not all of them are human race. Half man, half beast. What does this mean? A beast in disguise? After all, the first heavenly court is also the ancestral home of the human race. Why worship such a thing? You must know that the status of alien beasts is not higher than that in Lu Yu's impression. Always inferior. His expression was a little thoughtful, and he glanced around. At the very front of the palace, there is a stone tablet. Appearing in front of the stone tablet in an instant, Lu Yu waved his hand. In an instant, the dust on the stone tablet dissipated, revealing lines of small words. Lu Yu. He suddenly felt a little hummed up. I Can't understand it at all. The time span between the first heavenly period and my 9th heavenly period is too big. The language is almost cross-racial. What to do? Lu Yu had a headache. Now go back and find someone to do some research? It's definitely not possible. I don't have so much time to waste on the road. After pondering for a long time, Lu Yu finally had no choice but to ask for help in the system. System, can you understand these words? Okay. Lu Yu. Trench, system. Translate for me quickly. Translation requires 200 copy points. The system still did not disappoint Lu Yu. Copy point. Where did I get the copy point? Now my whole body is clean. System, I won't bargain with you today. Tell me how many copy points you deducted from me in the past. You can tell yourself. A sneer appeared on Lu Yu's face. I don't believe it even if Go system doesn't deduct my copy points. Every time a reward is given, you have to remember it before giving it out. I will never post it if I don't mention it myself. Lu Yu didn't believe it if he said he didn't secretly deduct points. As expected, the system fell into silence, and only made a sound after a while. The system doesn't. Have you? Touch your black heart and think about it carefully. Today I won't ask for those copy points back. Translate these words for me and everything will be wiped out. Otherwise. A rippling smile appeared on Lu Yu's face. System. After being quiet for a long time, the system made a sound. Good host. Okay. Go system. You really secretly deducted the copy points. Lu Yu immediately jumped to his feet. He originally just cheated the system, but he didn't expect that this guy actually deducted his copy points. Gan. Host, you've already said you've written it off. The system sounded slowly. Lu Yu. Okay, I guess you're ruthless, hurry up and translate. Lu Yu took a deep breath and decided not to think about it so much. The system didn't waste any time. After a few seconds passed, several lines of text appeared in front of Lu Yu's eyes. Temple. Just these first two words made Lu Yu stunned. Temple. Feeling hesitant and doubtful in his heart, Lu Yu continued to look down. Left 1, dedicated to the god of heaven and horses, the lord of the centaur and horse clan in the old world. Seeing this, Lu Yu subconsciously looked towards the first position on the left, and saw the stone statue of a man and horse that he had seen when he first came in. Celestial beings, horses, and gods. The lord of the centaur tribe in the old world. Lu Yu vaguely thought of something. Quickly, he continued to look down. Second from the left, dedicated to greedy Moon Wolf King, the wolf lord of the old world. Lu Yu looked at the second stone statue on the left. Sure enough, I saw a stone statue with a human head and a wolf body. Greedy Moon Wolf King. Lu Yu's eyes twitched. Looking down quickly, everything below is an introduction to the stone statues in the palace. Lu Yu glanced over these and landed on the last line of words. The gods of the old world have passed away, and the new world will be ruled by humans. As soon as these words came out, everything Lu Yu had vaguely sensed before suddenly came through. A divine mansion in the old world. Does this mean that these are all powerful beings from the old world? The old world, the previous universe, was ruled by beasts? Lu Yu looked at these stone statues with some disbelief. He never thought that the orcs would have such a glorious history. You know, alien beasts are in the starry sky, unless you cultivate to the true power. Otherwise, they are all slaves to the strong and used as mounts or war beasts. But now the things recorded in the first heavenly court are clearly expressed. The beast race, in the old world and the last universe, was a dominant existence. If the human race already existed at that time, then the human race was the slave of the beast race? What a turn of events! Lu Yu could only sigh like this, it just made him feel sore. There is still no trace of the ancient road to the old world. Where is the ancient road? Chapter 0557 Endless Abyss, you understand. Where is the ancient road? Lu Yu fell into deep thought. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yun Zhonmu Shui. Chapter 737. After a while, he left the palace and continued to search forward. It didn't take long for Lu Yu to reach the edge of the first heaven. Below, there was a dark abyss. Stopping here, Lu Yu frowned. Soon, he returned to the palace. At present, Lu Yu believed that the only place where something might exist was this palace. But Lu Yu had been searching for most of the day and still found nothing. Where is it? Lu Yu became a little anxious. He wanted to knock down the palace with a punch to see if there was anything underneath. But considering the stone statues, Lu Yu still didn't do it. After walking around the ruins of the first heaven again and again, Lu Yu suddenly stopped. Maybe the entrance is not here at all? Lu Yu was shocked by his own idea. Maybe it's really not here. Otherwise, why didn't he feel anything at all? Coming to the edge of the first heaven again, Lu Yu looked at the black abyss below and narrowed his eyes. The location of the first heaven is very strange. It is similar to a suspended island. And below this suspended island is an abyss like a huge mouth. Standing on the edge, it feels very oppressive, as if you will fall into the mouth of a giant beast in the next moment. Standing on the cliff and thinking for a long time, Lu Yu suddenly jumped down. He had searched all over the top, and now, only the bottom was not found. No matter what the situation is below, he must try it. Anyway, he will not die. With this mentality, Lu Yu did not hesitate when he jumped down, but stared at the abyss. As Lu Yu fell rapidly, everything around him became dark. At this moment, Lu Yu could not see anything. He could only feel that he was falling rapidly. Falling. It seemed to be endless. The wind was whistling all around, and it was a bit painful to scrape his face. This situation lasted for nearly an hour, and even Lu Yu was a little surprised. This is, really a bottomless pit? It's too deep, can't find the bottom? Just when Lu Yu was hesitating whether to use the stop, suddenly, his speed slowed down. Below, a little light appeared faintly. At the same time, a black shadow swam beside Lu Yu. There is something. In an instant, Lu Yu perked up. Boom. He made a move. The golden light illuminated everything and hit the thing. At the same time, Lu Yu also used this brief light to see the situation clearly. A ferocious dragon was hovering beside him. Now being hit by Lu Yu, the dragon roared. Roar. Boom. The flame was spit out from its mouth, as if it had ignited the space, and instantly spread towards Lu Yu. Lu Yu dodged and frowned slightly. How could there be a living creature? At first, he thought it was a strange creature, but he didn't expect it to be a real living creature. You know, this is the first heaven. How many epochs have no one entered, and there are still living creatures? But this is also good news for Lu Yu. The existence of living beings here means there can't be nothing below. Lu Yu accelerated his fall downwards with excitement. He ignored all the attacks of the dragon. In the double forbidden area, as long as he wanted, the other party couldn't hit him at all. In this case, the dragon was tirelessly entangled with Lu Yu, and Lu Yu didn't care. In this case, a long time passed. Lu Yu didn't know how long he had fallen. If the dragon hadn't been following him, Lu Yu would have doubted whether there was anything below. Finally, after another half an hour, Lu Yu felt that his speed was gradually slowing down. Gan. Is it finally going to stop? Lu Yu looked down. Below, a little light was looming. After a while, Lu Yu finally stopped. Under his feet was a piece of soft sand. Looking ahead, a figure stood in tattered armor. People. Lu Yu made a tentative move towards the other party. The next moment, the figure fell down, and a skull rolled out. It turned out that he was dead. Lu Yu breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at the body, and the other party was still holding a sword in his hand. Obviously, it should be the Guardian. Is this the entrance to the old world? Lu Yu looked forward, and a huge teleportation array appeared in this abyss world. That's right. Lu Yu was excited. Such a huge teleportation array, even I have never seen it before. The power of teleportation must be unimaginable. This is not going to the old world. What is going to the old world? I am afraid that to go to the previous universe, some barriers must be broken. But, if it needs to be activated with blood, it won't be enough even if I bleed dry, right? Lu Yu was dumbfounded when he thought of this. At this time, there was a sudden sound of wind from behind. Roar! The dragon caught up and spit fire directly at Lu Yu. This time, Lu Yu did not ignore it again. Now that we have arrived at the destination, we can't let it destroy the teleportation array. As he made his move, Lu Yu suppressed it with a bang. Roar! The dragon was knocked down to the rock wall by Lu Yu's punch. Then, Lu Yu took out the Fuxi sword and pressed it against the dragon's neck. If you don't want to die, be obedient, Lu Yu said. The dragon stopped resisting. It looked at Lu Yu, its nose smoking, and stretched out its tongue to lick Lu Yu's face. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 738. Instantly, Lu Yu felt as if his face was brushed by a steel brush. Covering his face, Lu Yu grimaced. This exfoliator is too powerful. You can make money by taking it out for medical beauty. That said, but Lu Yu knew. This guy is not simple. Although his strength is not very good, he can easily suppress it. But the other party can live underground for so long, it must be not simple. And now, the dragon is very intimate with Lu Yu. It seems that it can't speak, no, even if it can speak, it speaks the words of the first heaven period. Lu Yu had a headache about how to communicate with the dragon. He thought about it, pointed at the teleportation array, then pointed at himself, and then jumped to the center of the teleportation array. You understand? Lu Yu looked at the dragon. The dragon stretched out its claws and pointed at itself, then pointed at the teleportation array, and then jumped next to Lu Yu. Roar, roar. Lu Yu. I'm humming amazing. You haven't been born with intelligence after living for so long. Stupid or stupid? Lu Yu was vomiting blood in his heart. He didn't expect the dragon to give him any instructions. This guy has lived in the abyss for so long and has no contact with the outside world. It is almost impossible to think about it. In silence, Lu Yu sighed. Looking at the knife in his hand, he hesitated. How much blood will it take? He had lost enough blood in the sixth Great Wall, and now. Lu Yu was afraid that he would not have 7 times a night. Once a night. That would be really troublesome. While Lu Yu was hesitating, the dragon suddenly stretched out his foot. Cut you. Roar. Good brother, I won't be polite. Lu Yu backhanded a knife and cut the dragon's aorta. In an instant, blood burning like flames poured out like a waterfall. The dragon hovered over the teleportation array, and blood fell. The entire teleportation array began to flicker with a faint light. Chapter 0558, Dark Ancient Road Don't Stop. A light began to appear above the teleportation array. About to be teleported. Lu Yu took a deep breath. The dragon roared, and its blood spilled on the teleportation array, which was then quickly absorbed by the teleportation array and transformed into a flickering light. The dragon is the key to open the teleportation array. Only with the dragon's approval can the teleportation array be opened. Lu Yu was a little surprised when he thought of this. Fortunately, he did not kill it directly before, otherwise it would be nonsense and he would never be able to enter in this life. Relieved in his heart, Lu Yu waited patiently. Considering the size of the dragon, there is naturally a lot of blood. At this moment, a large amount of blood poured down, and the entire teleportation array seemed to come alive, exuding a terrifying atmosphere. The next moment, the entire teleportation array was shaking. In the center of the teleportation array, there was a supreme power condensing. Boom! A ray of light penetrated the void, and the space was shaking. It seemed that something was connected, and a mysterious feeling appeared in Lu Yu's heart. He looked at the increasingly bright light, and was excited. This is breaking the barrier to the old world. The dragon was still hovering over the teleportation array, shedding blood. But it was obvious that it was already very weak. Lu Yu could understand this. After all, it was not easy to bleed so much. But Lu Yu couldn't let it stop now, otherwise all his efforts would be wasted. Continue to wait patiently. As the dragon shed more and more blood, the light became brighter. The power that erupted in the teleportation array became more amazing. Finally, while Lu Yu was waiting, the light seemed to penetrate something and disappeared in an instant. Broken. Lu Yu took a closer look, and sure enough, a dark hole appeared in the void. Nice. Lu Yu almost jumped up with excitement. At this time, the dragon also landed. It is now very weak and in a sluggish state. Seeing this, Lu Yu casually threw a handful of star cores over. You should be able to absorb this stuff, right? Crack. The dragon swallowed hundreds of top-grade star cores and made a satisfied sound. Seeing this, Lu Yu threw tens of thousands of top-grade star cores to it. Thank you for your hard work. Touching the dragon's head, Lu Yu came to the entrance of the void cave. At this point, Lu Yu suddenly hesitated. It's easy to go there, just go in directly. But the problem is, how to get back? This is a problem. If there is no teleportation array in the old world, wouldn't I be in trouble? If I get lost in the old world and can't return, I will die directly. Lu Yu was a little worried, but he didn't have much time to study it in detail. If I don't go deeper, how can I know what the old world is like? Let's take a step back. Even if I try to build a way back now, time won't allow it. Forget it, let's go for it. Take a deep breath. Lu Yu looks at the entrance of the void cave, and steps into it. In an instant, Lu Yu's vision is filled with darkness. This is real darkness, as if there is no light at all. Lu Yu tried to illuminate everything, but to no avail. Can't even do it himself? Has he entered a place without rules and order? Lu Yu could only move forward. At first, he didn't feel anything under his feet, but as he walked, he heard footsteps. He stopped, and the footsteps also stopped. Mine. Lu Yu looked around, but could not see anything. He took another step, and the footsteps followed. Gradually, a glimmer of light began to appear in front of him. It was a torch, stuck on a stone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yun-Zhon Mu-Shuet. Chapter 739. Under the stone, there was an ancient bluestone road. Lu Yu picked up the torch and shone it at his feet. Under his feet, there was also an ancient bluestone road, and even when he shone it back, it was the same. When he shone it outside the ancient road, it was dark. Outside the ancient road, nothing could be seen. Lu Yu tried to reach out, but he could not sense anything. There seemed to be nothing around, even above and below. Only the ancient road stretched forward in the darkness, and no one knew where it led. Lu Yu looked back and saw that the entrance to the void cave still existed, with a faint light. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yu walked forward. Since he was here, he just had to walk. Continuously moving forward, Lu Yu did not know how far and how long he had walked. Lu Yu was already used to this situation. In the absolute emptiness, there was no reference, and no one could judge anything. The same was true for the ancient bluestone road under his feet, which looked exactly the same. Lu Yu tried to leave a mark to prove that he was going in circles, but in fact he didn't see any mark, and he was indeed moving forward. This dead silence made Lu Yu a little anxious. He didn't know how long it had been, and he was afraid that this ancient road would not be reached in a short time. If it took someone with great perseverance to reach the end, then he was screwed. Walking for a year or two, or even dozens or hundreds of years, was common in the eyes of those big guys. After all, the lifespan of a warrior is very long, and dozens or hundreds of years are nothing at all. But the problem is, I can't afford to delay. Lu Yu tried to tear the space and walk, but failed. It seems that there is no space here at all. This made him very helpless. In this case, Lu Yu walked for a long time, but still didn't see any sign of reaching the end. Lu Yu hesitated a little. Because there was no reference, he didn't know how long it had been. The only reference was his own time estimation. According to his own estimation, he had walked on this ancient road for at least 7 days. This is almost close to Lu Yu's limit. Lu Yu stopped. It is difficult for him to make a decision now, because there is no time left for himself. It took at least 7 days for him and the old man to get from the moon goddess Great Wall to the first heaven. And here, he has already used up a conservative 7 days. In other words, he has already used up 14 days. And at the moon goddess Great Wall, the longest conservative time is 1 month, which is 30 days. His return journey must take at least 7 days to reach the entrance of the void cave. And it takes at least 5 days to return to the moon goddess Great Wall from the first heaven. That is 12 days. With this calculation, he actually has less than 4 days left. Maybe even 4 days. After all, Lu Yu is not sure whether the time he estimated in his heart is correct. He can only assume that the situation has reached the worst and estimate it in the worst direction. With this calculation, Lu Yu's current situation is quite difficult. Going forward, if he does not find the way to the old world in 2 days, he may not even have enough time to return. If he goes back now, it's still in time. But the problem is, if he goes back like this, Lu Yu is really unwilling. But Lu Yu doesn't dare to bet on whether the existence of the design of this road will test some people with great perseverance. If the entire ancient road is really designed to take decades to walk, then it's really over. I'll go all out, I'll give it a try. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yu glanced at the darkness below and jumped down directly. Chapter 0559 A Gamble, Sword Marks, and Armor. Lu Yu jumped down towards the darkness below. He can't bet on the ancient road, because maybe it was really designed to test perseverance. Otherwise, how to explain that he hasn't seen the end after walking for so long? Unable to tear the space, unable to travel at a high speed. Even if this is probably in a kind of edge area between two universes, all laws and order are useless here. If he continues to walk, God knows when he can see the end. The only way is to jump down. Yes, jump down. Since this is the border of two universes, if I jump down, maybe I can enter another universe? That is, the old world? Let's make a simple analogy. The two universes are like two balloons, and there are two ways to arrange them. One is up and down, and the other is left and right. If I jump down, I may fall into the old world, or maybe the original world. This Lu Yu is not sure. The only thing he can be sure of is that he will definitely enter a certain world. Falling into the old world, that's great, this is what he wants. Falling into the new world, forget it, this road, Lu Yu thinks he can't go through. Go back and study, who the hell designed this ancient road, dig up his ancestors' graves. In addition to this, there is another way of arrangement. Left and right arrangement. In this case, the ancient road is likely to be horizontal, moving from the new world to the old world. If this is true, then if I jump down, Lu Yu doesn't dare to think about it. He is just gambling now. Betting that the old world and the new world are arranged up and down, and if I jump down, I can directly go around the ancient road and reach the old world at a faster speed. If I get lost at the junction of two universes, Lu Yu can only think of other ways to go back. Of course, this is also very risky. But at least, this is my own choice. Otherwise, if I really walk on that road for dozens or hundreds of years and can't reach the end, then it's really over. At least it's my choice, even if there are unexpected consequences, I don't regret it. Lu Yu took a deep breath, feeling his body falling rapidly, and decided not to think so much. If I can, I can, if I can't, I can't. I have tried my best. If I failed, I have at least struggled for this universe. In this case, Lu Yu only felt that time was flying. Later, he was too lazy to estimate the time. Because the expected bottoming time had long passed. Oh, no. Lu Yu shook his head. He was ready to disintegrate his body and turn his body into an atomic state. Countless atoms, each of which contained their own consciousness, explored the surroundings and looked for a way to go back. As for the others, Lu Yu didn't dare to think about it. The only thing he hoped for now was, when I go back, the universe will still exist. Feeling helpless, Lu Yu was about to set off, when suddenly, he seemed to pass through something. Like an invisible film, it passed through his body. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 740. What's going on? Lu Yu was puzzled, and then his eyes slowly widened. In the distance, a black planet floated in front of him. Planet. Lu Yu was shocked, squinted his eyes, and looked into the distance. In the distance, there was indeed a planet floating. The entire planet was riddled with holes, and the surface had turned black, as if it had been attacked. Is this the old world or the new world? Lu Yu tried it, he could move, the space existed, but it was fragmented, and there was a turbulent flow of void everywhere. This made Lu Yu even more suspicious. He couldn't be sure whether this was the universe he was in, or the old world. Because in the darkness, he didn't know the passage of time. If this was the universe he existed in, then it was obvious that it had been destroyed by the weird. Quickly approaching the planet, Lu Yu checked and found some corpses under the surface. Although it was almost turned into charcoal, Lu Yu still saw it. Human head and beast body, creatures of the old world. Lu Yu's heart was excited. But despite this, he was not too happy. Because he still didn't know what the situation was in the universe he was in. What surprised Lu Yu a little was that he didn't expect that in the old world, space still existed, but it was incomplete. For example, in the distance, a large area of space disappeared, and there was no void. Obviously, the destruction of the old world was not complete, but all the creatures died. But Lu Yu was still relieved. It is certain that some areas of this universe have become chaotic areas. And what he has to worry about now is how to find the way back. Lu Yu looked at the place where he appeared, and there was a void there. Lu Yu tried to enter it, but found that except for the turbulence of the void, he did not find a way back. Trouble. After looking around, Lu Yu went to a star. The reason why it can be distinguished as a star is that the size of the star is much larger than that of an ordinary planet. When he came to the star, Lu Yu went directly into the interior of the star. What made Lu Yu shake his head was, this star was completely dead, and the core of the sun was cold. After such a long time, even the stars had died, not to mention the living things. What he saw next further proved this point. Lu Yu walked for dozens of light years and saw nothing. The whole universe was dead silent. The only thing that made Lu Yu a little excited was, in this universe, the flow of time seemed to be static. Only he was alive? Why is this so? It is easy to understand. The rules of this universe are different from the rules of the universe he is in. The old world was destroyed, everything disappeared, including the rules of time. Therefore, this place fell into eternal silence. But he came from the new world and carried the rules of the new world with him. So, he can move here. In this case, then when he is here, the outside world is static relative to him. Lu Yu's heart was a little excited. Originally, he was thinking about creating rules by himself, but he didn't expect that when he entered here, the time here no longer existed. Time doesn't exist, isn't it static? At least for the outside world, the time here is indeed static. Reassured, relieved. Lu Yu was relieved. At least the outside world has not been destroyed. If he stays here for a year, not even a second may have passed outside. Thinking of this, Lu Yu's originally anxious pace slowed down. He was looking for a way back. There was no rush to practice, but to find the way back first. In the dead universe, Lu Yu didn't know how long he had walked. The only feeling Lu Yu had was that this universe was very big, really big. It was even bigger than the universe he was in. Apart from that, there was no other feeling. There was death everywhere, and Lu Yu didn't expect to see any other scenery. The only thing he wanted to find now was where the entrance would appear if he followed the ancient road. Only by finding the entrance can he find the possibility of finding the exit. In this case, Lu Yu stopped on a planet one day. He found a sword mark and a set of armor on that planet. Chapter 0560 Certain Existences, the Third Realm of Taisa. There was a sword mark and a set of armor on that planet. Lu Yu stopped here, he was a little surprised. What's going on? Why are there traces of living creatures here? Logically speaking, there should be nothing left in this universe at present. After just a little thought, Lu Yu went down. Below, on a plane on the planet, a terrifying sword mark almost tore the entire planet in half. After Lu Yu took a closer look, his brows frowned. This sword mark has not existed for a long time. This time is not long. Lu Yu means that the sword mark was not left in the era when this universe was still alive. But it was left in the era after the universe was destroyed. At that time, this place had become a dead place, and it was impossible for living creatures to exist. Then what kind of existence left the sword mark? Have some beings in his universe been here before? Lu Yu couldn't help but come up with an amazing guess. He might not be the first person to come here. Surprised, Lu Yu looked at the armor next to him. This further confirmed his guess. The same is true for the armor. Lu Yu could even clearly distinguish the style of the armor. Yes, style. The 9 generations of heaven, each heaven is an era, and the style and manufacturing process are of course slightly different. And now, Lu Yu's expression gradually became solemn. Things from the 8th heaven. Lu Yu's tone was a little surprised. This is indeed something from the 8th heaven. Even if he might have seen it wrong, it was at most from the 7th heaven. Going back, things from the 6th heaven were not of this style. It's too delicate.